So the Library of Congress, as it does every year, will be adding 25 new movies to the National Film Registry. So the way this works, this was created in 1989. There was a big question in the 80s about film preservation of should we be colorizing black and white films? Should we be cropping their aspect ratios to fit on square TVs? Ultimately, Congress passed a law. This was a law passed, I think, in 88, setting up the National Film Preservation Board and the National Film Registry. So the idea is that the public submits potential American films, and they can be full films, they can be short films, they can be a collection of home movies I've seen, if they're historically significant. And that's the thing, is that these have to be American films that they think are, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, end quote. Again, American films, they had to have been released at least 10 years ago. So you can't have something that came out last year. They have to be at least 10 years old. More than 6,700 titles were submitted this year, including from me. I think it opened up in August. And I basically just went through all my favorite movies chronologically, and any movies that weren't already in the registry, I nominated. I think you can nominate up to 100 or something. And this new crop of 25 movies, because they do this every year, again, since 1989, this now brings the total to 900 films in the collection. I got a quote here from the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, saying, quote, "Films reflect our nation's history and culture and must be preserved in our national library for generations to come. This is a collective effort in the film community to preserve our cinematic heritage," end quote. So that's the big thing, is that once it's inducted into the National Film Registry, it becomes archived and preserved at the Library of Congress, to make sure we don't lose this media. Not that we would lose most of these things, but again, we're talking about 100 years from now, maybe we will. Jacqueline Stewart, who's the chair of the National Film Preservation Board, said, quote, "The National Film Registry now includes 900 titles. And what's remarkable to me is that every year when the board talks about films and their significance, we find new titles to consider. The wealth of American film history is sometimes rather overwhelming. And people often wonder, how do you recommend this film or that film? It's through a lot of research, conversation, and discussion. And it's through a commitment to showing the true diversity of filmmaking. I'm thrilled that we recognize student films, independent films, animation, documentary, and experimental works, as well as feature-length narrative drama, comedy, horror, and science fiction on the registry this year," end quote. And again, that's the thing. So people will submit nominations, but then the board will decide from the nominations what 25 films will be chosen. So let me read to you the 25 films in chronological order. Again, some of these are feature films, some of these are documentaries, some of these are student films. It's a wide array of stuff. So the 25 films being inducted are as follows: Annabelle's Serpentine Dance from 1895, Coco's Earth Control from 1928, Angels with Dirty Faces from 1938, Pride of the Yankees from 1942, Invaders from Mars from 1953, The Miracle Worker from 1962, The Chelsea Girls from 1966, Ganja and Hess from 1973, Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, Uptown Saturday Night, also from 1974. The Zora Lathan student films from 1975 to 76. Up in Smoke from 1978. Will from 1981. Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan from 1982. Beverly Hills Cop, 1984. Dirty Dancing, 1987. Common Thread, Stories from the Quilt, from 1989. Pow Wow Highway from 1989. My Own Private Idaho, 1991. American Me, 1992. What's American Me, actually? Hold on. Is that what I'm thinking of? American Me. Oh, yeah, the movie with Edward James Olmos in the prison. That's right. Anyway, let me continue. Mi Familia, 1995. Compensation, 1999. Spy Kids from 2001. No Country for Old Men from 2007, and The Social Network from 2010. And I know for a fact I nominated those last two. So I, in a small way, contributed to this year's group of films being inducted. So the story with this is just for you to see the diversity of the kinds of films. Now, if you go back to the very first year, it was kind of the usual suspects. You had Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Grapes of Wrath, right? Kind of like your standard films, but it's really been diversified. And just in terms of the kinds of things in the registry. And And this is just so important because film preservation is so important. And again, the registry acts as a record of the films that we feel reflect our society and our values. It would just be nice if the public could access this registry a little bit more easily. I think you can maybe set up appointments, but it's like hard, and I don't even know if you can do that. So what's the point of preservation if it's locked away? They should create like a streaming service just for the films in the registry and get those rights or whatever, so everyone can access those films from their home. So it's always exciting to see a new batch of films inducted. There's always surprises. I was really not surprised. I was not expecting Spy Kids of all movies, but I think maybe that was included because of how innovative it kind of was in a way with Robert Rodriguez's kind of guerrilla style filmmaking. And, I would imagine maybe that's why I'm really surprised by Spy Kids. The Social Network is one of the greatest movies ever made. No Country for Old Men is one of the greatest movies ever made. So those aren't surprising. And I do hope I'm able to watch all 900 of these movies at some point because there's a bunch that I have not seen.
Wow, what an interesting story. I'm sure you have some thoughts about the topic, so comment below, let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really helps people find the channel and makes me feel all warm inside. Until next time, I'm Peter Mancuso. Peace out.